So what does a good business strategy look like? One of the major kind of mistakes that people make is that they might say, well, look, we want to grow 20% this year. So that isn't a strategy, that's just a target. So actually anyone that just says, we want to do this, we want to be the biggest leader in our market, we want to do whatever, that's not good. That's not good strategy, because basically that doesn't actually tell you how you're going to get there. What's really important for whenever you have a business is to basically really look at your market. In the roadmap, we actually have, was it 4 different modules on strategy, where we really explain what it is, how to look at different things, how to differentiate yourself. And then actually the module on marketing is arguably still part of kind of strategy. And what we're really looking to do is really understand the market, the customer, the competitors, and really everything about the landscape. Really kind of figure out what can make you special, to then, how it look to how we tackle that. I'm going to give a real live example to something I was doing last week. So when I do my homework on a lot of stuff, so I'm looking at something called Blue Ocean Strategy at the moment. I do my homework to go through all of these concepts and stuff so that you don't have to. It's almost a way to make your life kind of easier. But what's interesting when you really kind of look at Blue Ocean Strategy, it's how actually, if you can look at the fundamental principles that other industries and stuff look at or treat as like gospel, if there's a way and a means that you can almost pivot against that. There's loads of examples, but I'm going to give you this one because it's a real life one for me, what I'm looking to do, but it might also make it relevant to you. And I'm going to almost explain why that's important and how you can really differentiate yourself in the market. And it's this that actually makes good strategy, as opposed to just setting a goal or a target, which is bad. You don't want to do that. So what I've done, I know you can't see this, but basically it's to plot out on an axis, basically traditional education, traditional business education versus what I'm doing with the roadmap, and really look at actually what is the cultural norm within that industry, and then actually how am I looking to pivot against it. So one of the things, I probably have 20 different kind of topics. First one is about price. Obviously universities, business schools are mega expensive. So actually, if the industry is generally, people know that business education is a premium product, they expect that it'll be high price, high cost. But actually, so if I can pivot against that, that's really important. Prestige is really important, and it always will be. But what's really interesting is that the more you kind of get into this, you have something called segmentation, which is how you actually kind of break down a market. From, you have people where the prestige is really important, and for those people, absolutely the Harvard is top of the tree, something you should do. And they'll often do that for personal reasons or career reasons, that they believe that it will get them the job they want. But you also have a subset of that, the people, generally smaller business owners or people that work in smaller businesses, that they want to learn the skills and the knowledge, but actually the prestige isn't as important as other factors such as price. So what I'm then doing is starting to map out across these topics how I can differentiate myself, and actually how as a business can I really kind of evolve. And I'm going to talk about how you can then actually iterate to create a really solid business because of this. Entry requirements. There's a lot of people who would love to learn more business related skills and go do a traditional MBA. But unless you have an undergrad, a master's, 10 years experience, whatever, a lot of places won't let you in, even if you could afford the £90,000 to go to London School of Economics. So therefore, entry requirements that are very high with traditional business education, if I can remove those, it's kind of something I can kind of look at. Overheads, costs. A lot of traditional universities and stuff have buildings, they have huge teams of, I don't know, 10,000 staff. They have very well paid professors, but they have admin, they have all that stuff. So basically, part of the reason business education is inherently expensive is the way that it was traditionally taught was expensive to do. And the truth is that has now changed. The ability to speak to people in India, is now live with streaming, and people are used to kind of learning online and stuff. That the whole model can change, but almost on like a sunken cost fallacy, that if you've invested quite literally hundreds of millions of pounds into buildings and stuff, you're not going to give up on that lightly. So actually it's something I can really kind of play against. The time required to do traditional MBA is either 12 or 24 months full time to give up work and do that. I don't think that's great. And even for a lot of the online courses, it might still be full time for 12 months or lots of stuff. With the roadmap, we try and break down the concept so that it's accessible, but you can pick it up in 2 minutes, literally, to get the basics of the concept, but really distill it down. And I won't go through all of them, but it's all of these things that where you can kind of look at to actually how can you pivot against stuff that is currently in the industry here, but you think you can do it differently. One of the ones for me is flexibility. Price is an obvious one, interactivity, but one of the other big things is actually, for me, it's the ability to update and curate and change the content. So for instance, if you go to a traditional university, they might teach you stuff which is from a textbook, but that textbook was first produced 10 years ago. But actually, so what they might do is teach information which actually is shared, but it's based on being, I don't know, a few years old. And then even actually some of the online courses, and there are some very good ones out there, they might do 2 or 3 cohorts a year. And what they probably do is have a core curriculum, and after the feedback from one, they might tweak it and then do it again. But actually, I have the ability with the live streaming, because I kind of do everything myself. In theory, if the world changes, I can update the content today to then reflect on the website and different stuff. So actually, part of my strategy can be, there's a real ability for me to actually update and pivot and update new information better and faster than everyone else. So good strategy for me could be, our strategy could actually be to release new content every 3 months. And what you're then doing there, so the strategy is, the plan is then how do I do that? And it's a great way to differentiate and pivot in a way that I know where my competitors sit. I know that they might traditionally update on a monthly cycle, or it could be every 5 years, it could be every 10 years. But the point is, as a strategy, what you're really looking at doing is finding the things that you can do which will fundamentally give you a competitive advantage. I mentioned overheads as one. So the other one, uh, so one of the things that I really invest heavily in, because actually I have a mission, and it's again making business education accessible, but the whole crux of everything I'm trying to do is actually based on low overheads. The better and the leaner and the faster I can get to do stuff at minimum cost. The very fact that I had someone in India get in touch is amazing, because if you went back 20 years ago, the ability for us to connect is almost impossible. As we're now, it's changed. But actually, the more people I can help to hit people around the world, I can do that because I've invested in a full live streaming studio, some quite expensive camera equipment, lighting equipment, whatever. But basically, investing in, for me, productivity and overhead reduction, so that even if it's very expensive to do, so for instance, I have a new website coming, and hopefully at some point after that, an app for both Android and iOS. Massively expensive to do, but what that will hopefully do is allow me to service 1 million users worldwide, but I don't actually have to work harder to do that, if that makes sense. And when we do the live stream classroom sessions, you can still join the session and have the benefit. But the point is, actually, as a strategy, investing purposely in efficiency and keeping my overhead super low is a major advantage that I have versus the competition. So when I'm actually building the business strategy, again, we don't focus on the goal, which is to grow 20%. We focus on the things which will help us get there. And this will be true and different for every business. And again, someone will pay you, or you pay them £20,000 to go on a course that can teach you the same stuff. I'm kind of giving it for free on YouTube, and it's because of what is important to me. I understand it, I know it. And if I can make it simple enough so that in a 10-minute video on YouTube, you kind of get the gist, that's kind of what's important. And it's this kind of thing that I'm really kind of looking on, doing. And again, just focus. One of the things that I've spoken about previously with different guests is that often it is very easy to get too distracted with too many different things. There's too many opportunities that you could really kind of look at or get involved in or get distracted with. That actually now I know my mission, I know the strategy, I know exactly how I'm going to execute against my major competitors. And as a prime example, using the previous kind of stuff I talked about, as soon as I found out that actually most of my competitors basically lose an absolute ton of money, they can't offer a free service because they're losing a ton of money. It's unfathomable that they could ever do it. So when the whole industry is looking at selling quality stuff but at a premium price, that doesn't sit well with my mission. That if you can afford it, do it. Fantastic, go nuts. It'll be brilliant. But again, for 98% of the world's population, including a lot of people in India, USA, UK, kind of worldwide, I believe there's a gap in the market that I'm really looking to exploit and grow and do whatever. And actually with my business strategy, and again, it doesn't have to be posh. I have a lot of it on paper because actually what I like to do is get the kind of ideas down, understand it, use it, and then I make it live to people in classroom sessions so that, our friends in India or wherever, we can make it relevant to your business and actually just help you get the real business benefit today, tomorrow, next week. That actually, again, with traditional business education, most of it is aimed at much kind of larger businesses, which is great if you actually want to go and work at Google, Microsoft, Walmart, wherever, because the stuff that you'll learn is really important and will benefit you. But again, that's not most of the world that we kind of live in. So I'm purposely pivoting to target people that work in smaller organizations that have to wear multiple hats, so that if you are a technical specialist in a certain area, or you have a cupcake kind of business, you might be passionate about making cakes and working with customers and that kind of thing. But if nobody's really taught you about business strategy, marketing, and selling to customers, your business could fail. And actually, arguably, it's not your fault. It's just a case of you were never exposed to that kind of information to really help you understand how to make your business a success. And that's the real kind of aim and goal and driver for me, is to really give value and trying to help people as much as I can. Hence why I do the live streams. But I really enjoyed people kind of getting in touch on YouTube, but this also goes out on Twitter and LinkedIn and Twitch and lots of other kind of places as well.